I'm also aware that there's different levels of people here today, different levels of experience, and hopefully I've got some of the broader, more strategic kind of conceptual ideas about account management, but also some tactical implementation pieces. So this is all about keeping your clients during difficult times. I wanted to start off with a quote by Peter Drucker. If you don't know Peter Drucker, he is a famous management consultant, and he has lots of management theories. And his quote here: "The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, it's to act with yesterday's logic." And I believe we as account managers, as those on the front line dealing with those relationships on a day-to-day basis, have to act slightly differently during these times of the pandemic. So what I'm going to cover today is three things. So how to keep your clients, regardless of whether you've had projects maybe postponed or cancelled. How to suggest ideas confidently, because one of the biggest things, I train people on selling skills, but no one wants to sort of say they're in the business of sales. So how can you suggest ideas, propose ideas without feeling like you're being pushy? And then finally, why I believe now is the right time for you to be super visible, not just with your active current clients, but also to prospective clients. What I'm not going to cover today is sort of the impact of this virus on the economy. But what I will share with you is a recommendation that you download from the Ernst & Young website. Ernst & Young is one of the big management consultancies, and us as account managers, we have to understand our clients' business. And you've got these huge management consultancies like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Bain & Company, Ernst & Young, and they are publishing on a day-to-day basis really interesting insights about our clients' industries. You know, what are the trends, what's changing? So definitely download this. The reason it's important is because it talks about the potential scenarios of the impact on our economy of this virus. And they're kind of talking about three different recovery scenarios. The V shape, i.e. we're going to bounce back. The W, i.e. there's going to be another peak perhaps in the autumn, so it's going to affect the economy. And then more of a tick scenario where you have repeated infections. And obviously why I'm sharing this with you is because ultimately how the economy behaves is how our clients' businesses are going to behave. So that's why we need to keep abreast of it. The other reason I'm sharing it with you is this particular report breaks down into your client sub-segment. So all of you have got clients in different industries, and it predicts, you know, by industry segment, what the impact is for the short term on their business, but also what post-crisis that recovery looks like. So again, that's another reason for you to download it. So I've been sitting on lots of webinars. I've been really plugged into how this is going to sort of affect us from a pandemic point of view. And probably the best webinar I sat on, some of you may be familiar with this guy, but his name is Mark Ritson, and he's a professor of marketing, but he also happens to consult with some of the biggest brands in the world. And he talks about three phases. So we're obviously in this COVID crisis phase, which we don't quite know exactly. Obviously, we're kind of 6-7 weeks in now. We don't quite know. Some of us are seeing some green shoots and people starting to go back to work. But we're very much in this COVID crisis stage. And this is where brands are behaving tactically. So lots of blanket emails going out to customers. You might have received emails from perhaps companies that you signed up with ages ago because you bought a pair of socks, and you're getting a message from the CEO saying why he's taking care of his staff and why your well-being is top of mind. You know, tactical responses by brands. Then we're going to have this period of 3 weeks, what Mark Ritson is calling a false pneuma. Pneuma is the Greek word for breath. And he's saying that actually after this COVID crisis stage, it's going to be, from a marketing perspective, lots about, you know, a new normal, images of people standing in front of windows with their hands up, sort of saying this is a new dawn. But then that's going to be followed by an exogenous, which means out of our control, recession. And that's going to impact us in agencies because we are a lagging indicator in the market. You know, what happens with our clients, we feel the impact of. So right now we're in this COVID crisis stage where marketers, many of us deal with marketing departments of clients. They're tactically responding. And depending on what industry our clients are in, it has a different meaning. So you've got the ones that are thriving right now, the Sainsbury's of the world, whose businesses are booming. We've also got our clients who are adapting. So perhaps if your client is a restaurant owner, then maybe they are adapting their business model to offer online service, takeouts, etc. And then you've got those businesses that are absolutely flatlining. So British Airways, for example, anything in tourism and travel, BA, have made, I think it was 2,000 redundant. TUI announced today, I think it was 8,000 redundant. So we're seeing that, depending on where your clients sit, you're being affected differently. But what I want you to take away from this slide is the bit at the end, which is, how do we behave in a recession? How we behave as agencies during a recession is the same way brands behave in a recession. And it's been proven because obviously in the last couple of hundred years, we've been through many recessions. Those brands that continue to invest in advertising, continue to invest in being visible, are ultimately the ones that gain share of voice in the market. And post-recession, that translates to share of market, meaning those brands that continue to be visible are the ones that actually win long term. And that is the concept that I want you to take away from this slide. Us as account managers, us as leaders of agencies, and our agencies ourselves have to keep being visible with our clients. We have to be adding value, showing up on a consistent basis for us to win long term. We want to be the ones that are remembered. So this is kind of highlighted. Procter Gamble is probably one of the biggest investors in advertising in the whole world. And this was a statement by their CFO saying, we are doubling down on brand visibility, because Procter Gamble know that they are going to win share of voice and ultimately share of market. So they're going to continue investing. So those brands that stop investing in marketing, stop investing in advertising, are going to be the losers. So a quick introduction to who I am very quickly. I started my career in advertising industry in the early 90s. So I'm a bit of a dinosaur compared to probably a lot of you on the call. I went through my career, 30 years working in different agencies, both independent agencies and networked agencies. I ended up as general manager of Publicis Life Brands, in charge of a team of 40, 4 million turnover. And I appeared on the front cover of PR Week. I thought I'd made it. And at that time was the only time in my career that I was given a sales coach to work with me on leadership, on sales. And it really opened my eyes to what I should have known 30 years ago. And the skills I learning with this sales coach enabled me to add a lot more value to the clients, add revenue and money to the agency's bottom line. And it kind of revolutionized my whole way of working. Unfortunately for me, at that time, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, which came out of the blue. So I decided to leave the industry to spend more time with my dad. So I set up a trading company, which meant that I could work more flexibly. And now my account management skills trading company works with lots of different creative agencies. My courses are promoted via the Pharmaceutical Marketing Society and the Institute of Promotional Marketers. And now I'm lucky enough to be invited to stages to talk about client service, to talk about selling for account managers, how to sell without feeling like you're being salesy. I'm part of the Agency Nomics community of agency owners. And I find that I spend most of my time training and coaching. And obviously it used to be all in person or in-house in agencies, but now it's all via Zoom. So why did I feel that this was really important to talk about this topic today? I think we as account managers need to be a lot more proactive in showing up for our clients, so that we're the ones that are remembered when we come through this pandemic. Because if we can invest in regularly giving value to our clients and showing up, being helpful and providing value, then we are going to be the ones that are going to win post-recession. So now is not the time to freeze. What we don't want to come across as pushy, sporadic, salesy, and pushing, what else can we do, showing all our products and services that we can offer. But we do want to be remembered as being compassionate, because fundamentally, for all of us, our most important highlight right now is how our health and the health of our families. So how can you be compassionate? From a commercial point of view, we know that for an agency, it's about 5 to 25 times more expensive for us to go out and find a new client than it is to actually grow an existing client. So those relationships you have with your clients are so valuable right now. So how can we maximize that value? Tim Williams, who is a thought leader in the agency space, ran a big report, a big survey many years ago called What Today's Clients Want Most from Their Agencies. And they asked the question, what are you actually selling as an agency? So if you think about that right now, as an account manager, account director, account leader, what are you actually selling? Now, typically the agencies would respond to this survey, because this was among clients and agencies. They would say things like, we're selling creativity, we're selling strategic thinking, we're selling people, we're selling expertise. But actually the answer that came out, and I don't know if you've got in your mind what it might be, but it's actually business outcomes. So what are you as an agency selling? You're selling business outcomes. No client is going to invest in your services if they don't have a direct correlation to a business result, a business outcome for their business. So the more you can talk business outcomes with your client, A, the more senior you appear, but B, the more value you are giving. Right now, CEOs of companies, our clients, are being even more driven by return on investment. So for us as agencies, we have to prove that if they're going to initiate any project with us, that they're going to get a direct result as a result of it, as a result of their investment. Right now, companies want three things. They want you to make them money, save them money, or eliminate cost. And if you can tie in what you offer with one of those three things, then you are talking the language of your client. So another answer from this survey, another question to the clients was, when you change agencies, what are some of the primary reasons why? The answer was because the agency never gave us anything that we didn't ask for. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because sometimes we think as account leads, we are delivering good value, we're delivering on time, on budget, but actually what our clients really want is for us to surprise them, to go the extra mile, to bring them something that they didn't know, to share with them a thought or a piece of information that's new, that's going to help them do their job better. So how can we be more proactive? And this was a great quote from a peer of mine in the industry. And I think this sums it up. If you don't understand your client's business, you can't really be proactive. You can't really add value. So I think for all account people, we need to know as much about our client's world and our client's business as we can. And there are actually 4 levels of value that we can give to our clients. Level 1 is that the level of service that we provide. So i.e., this is what we do for you, and these are all of the services we provide. So that's level 1. We're talking about our services. Level 2 is that not only do we give you a quality service, we also give you a great customer experience. So the way we behave when we're talking about a level 2 value, we talk about sharing case studies, sharing testimonials. If we want to offer level 3 value, then we are focused on delivering a business outcome as a result of them working with us. And the skill we need to do this, we need to be able to diagnose our clients' business challenges and then find or create solutions. And those solutions could be our own services that we have currently. We may create new services to fit the need of the client, or we may partner with another agency that offers that service. We might bring them new thinking, new strategic thoughts. We might make an introduction to someone that we have in our network to our client. We may provide them with information, or we may educate our client, or even entertain. So delivering value is diagnosing their issues and then finding a solution. And that solution doesn't necessarily have to be directly your product or service. Level 4 value is all about future value creation for your client. So how can we not only understand where our clients are at now, but anticipate where our clients are going to go in the future? So if you think about right now, what our clients are obsessed by is going back to work, getting their businesses back to normal. So a lot is talked about right now about post-COVID planning, a roadmap for helping them ease their businesses back into operating as they were previously. So if we are the ones that can bring some insight into helping them make that transition, then we're operating at the highest level of value. So the thoughts that we bring them, the ideas that we bring them, could be the fact that it's a challenge that they need to be aware of, or it could be an opportunity we see that they could capitalize on. So, something that's going to be an insight that we provide the information, and we also have a point of view about what they need to do next. So level 1 and level 2 is very much about us. It's very self-orientated. We're talking about our products, our services. And I think agencies, typically, we're very good at this, but it's not necessarily positioning us in the most valuable light. Whereas level 3 and level 4, if we're operating at that level, then it's all about the client. It's other orientated, and that is the more valuable way of operating. So what does that mean in practice? So say your client is in the beauty space, and because you're so situationally aware, i.e. you're looking at the trends, you're looking at what's changing, you're looking at the potential impact on your client's business, and you see a report or an article from Mintel saying that right now there's a trend in beauty products where before the COVID strike, it was all about pureness, the purity of the ingredients. People wanted purity because they didn't want any kind of additional factors going in there that was going to be harmful to the environment. But right now with COVID, there's a need for, I care less about purity, I care more about efficaciousness of this beauty product. So people are looking now for more, they're not so worried about the synthetic ingredients as long as it works and it's going to, help me be disease free. So that's a huge trend in the beauty space right now. And if your client is in the beauty space, then you could be proactive, go to your client with offering them level 4 value and say, look, we've noticed that there's a trend in the market right now, and show them the report that you've downloaded, show them the article and the evidence. There seems to be a demand for this safe but synthetic ingredients. The impact on your business, Mr. Client, is that we think that you may have to either, for example, evolve your range to suit this message, or update your messaging, or maybe a little campaign to stay competitive. And the way we can help you do this is that we can look into this further for you, do a bit of a deep dive, look at competitor analysis, do a bit of a review of what's happening, and then come back to you with some thoughts. So that is a very, very level 4 proactive approach to your business, to your client management. Other sources of information is other management consultancies like Accenture, and they're the ones that are looking at customer behavior trends. Because ultimately, if you think of the value you can bring right now to your clients, they're interested in their clients. How are they keeping their customers happy? And how are they adding value to their customers? So the more we know about our clients' customers, the better positioned we are to be able to provide value and to steer our clients in the right way. PricewaterhouseCoopers is another great source, and they are looking specifically at the business trends, and they've got some amazing data sources. So have a look at those. So if we were to take Accenture's predictions for the 5 key behavioural changes that are happening for customers in general as a result of COVID, there are certain things that perhaps we can leverage and bring ideas to our clients. So for example, one of the big trends is confidence. Like if you think about it, you know, are you thinking about going on holiday this summer? Are you prepared to go to an airport where there's, you know, higher risk of infection? Are you going to sit in an aircraft? Are you going to want to go find yourself ill in another country? We are having, the customers right now are finding this lack of confidence. So from your perspective, depending on what kind of agency you are and what kind of value you bring, you could suggest proactively that you have a look at the customer experience from start to finish for your client, and think about those points where their customers are going to have those confidence wobbles, and what they need to do as a business to reassure their customers at those stages of the customer experience. If you are the kind of agency that does customer personas for your clients, then, you know, have a look at your customer personas, because the personas will have changed slightly. The other thing is that another term is virtual century. So everything's gone digital right now. And for example, estate agents are looking at virtual reality and how they can utilize it so that their customers can do viewings in houses. So AR, VR, a huge trend right now. Loyalty apps, live streaming and gaming, these are trends that you can have a look at. So think about your clients right now. How are these trends affecting them? Are they capitalizing on those trends? How are they capitalizing? If you are not the type of agency that has the skill set internally to offer any kind of solution in this particular very technical area, could you then partner up with an agency that offers this service? So for example, there's an agency in Guildford called Diverse Interactive, and they specialize in AR and VR. So that's the kind of potential partnership you could have, so that you suit your client's needs, you spot the challenges and the needs, but then you partner with someone else to help you deliver a solution. Other things that are important right now is every business is a health business. So if one of your clients is a restaurant or a gym or a place where people tend to gather, then right now those physical location businesses are all looking at how technology can help them prepare for customers returning to their to their places. So they're looking at sort of thermal, taking temperatures, how they're going to construct their places to be more social distance, etc. So A, it's to be aware of this trend, and B, it's to understand how can you either bring some insight to help your client's business adapt quickly, maybe looking at their competitors and what they're doing, or you can actually help them with the implementation or planning or strategic kind of thoughts for how they can be post-COVID ready. The other one is workforce management. So right now, our clients are all sitting remotely in their homes, and their staff, there was this period of a couple of weeks where everyone was adapting to that new normal. You know, how can you support their workforce getting up to speed? Maybe you are running educational webinars. Maybe you're helping them with the new technology that they're using. You know, people are using Zoom. What about if they want to do a meeting and using brainstorming apps like Mural or Miro? You know, you are inevitably, as agencies, we're a little bit more ahead of the curve with all of the technology stuff. So how can we support our clients that may be a little bit one step behind? And then finally, and this is a big one, clients are looking at their plans. The plans they made at the beginning of the year have completely changed. So what do those forecasts and plans look like now? Could we offer them a client clinic, like essentially a strategic planning meeting where you get your heads of strategy to sit, or heads of creative, to come up with new ideas and new thoughts based on how their business needs have changed? Maybe you're going to help them with a 2021 planning workshop. Maybe it's a post-COVID-19 roadmap session, whatever that looks like, to add the most value. So I believe there's 3 goals for client retention. 1, have a multi-touch client nurture plan. So you need to be not just giving value once or just asking how they are once, but you have a reason to keep in contact with them on a continual basis, to keep the share of voice, to keep the ultimate share of market. 2, add value, whether that's your products or not. How can we bring them little thoughts? You know, I saw this in an article and I thought of you, or I saw that people were being invited to this specific webinar. I thought this might be useful. Little things like that are adding value. And then ultimately 3, looking for referral opportunities. And the reason I think this is important is some clients are actually feeling guilty that they've had to put all your projects on hold, or they've cancelled them. Now, if you've got a really, really strong relationship with that client, they're really happy with what you've done, right now maybe is an opportunity to ask for a referral. You know, is there anyone else in your network you think would benefit from our services that you could introduce us to? So let's talk about referrals in a minute. So from a tactical perspective, I think we need to have like a 5-step plan. And the reason I've called it a client service task force is that sometimes we feel like it shouldn't be just us. You know, maybe get together with different people from the agency to really hone down how we are going to grow these existing accounts, how we're going to retain these existing clients. So 1, I think we need to categorize our clients based on opportunity. 2, audit their needs by asking them the right questions. 3, assess the level of value that we can provide. 4, make an action plan. And then 5, activate it. Make it systematic in the agency. So by a sign, I mean, have a look at, you know, who are your growth clients, who are your current maintenance clients. Remember who your lapsed clients are, because they are the ones that maybe you've worked with in the past that would be open to new ideas or new invitations from you. And then look at your prospective clients. Obviously, your current clients are your key ones. And for those, you know, if you're dealing with a client that perhaps has multiple departments or multiple brands, and you could be introducing yourself to multiple brands, then get an organogram, understand who the players are, and then maybe, for example, if you're running an educational webinar, you can say, is there anyone else from your company that you'd like to invite along to that? And that's a way of ultimately getting referral. If you don't feel that you have a handle on the strength of your client relationship, maybe now is the time to do a bit of a relationship assessment, an evaluation of the strength of the relationship. Current maintenance clients, we want to stay top of mind. We want to ask them for referrals. We want to give value. Lapsed clients, we want to look at maybe your LinkedIn profile. Look at all the people you're connected with that you've worked with in the past. They're the ones, maybe if you had a really good relationship with them, just pick up the phone. How are you? How's things? How is this COVID situation affecting you? Really good, be really good at listening, and really good at asking the questions to uncover what the challenges are, so that you can see whether there's anything currently that you're doing that you could help them with. And then prospective clients, we just want to make sure that we are being visible. Probably LinkedIn is one of the biggest platforms that I think as account managers, account leads, account directors, we don't optimize enough. It's not just for finding a job, it's actually to find and keep in contact with clients. So that's the first stage, to really assign your clients based on the categories. Then it's to audit, and I'm going to throw out all of the questions here. But, you know, how's the client's business been affected? Is it thriving, adapting, or flatlining? And this is something you can do internally first. What are their biggest challenges? What do we see that their challenges could be? And how's that going to impact them? Maybe they're unaffected. Maybe you're lucky enough to have a client who's absolutely thriving and you're inundated with work and it's business as usual. But maybe those clients are struggling to work from home with kids. They're just inconvenienced. Or maybe they're really uncertain. Maybe they've been furloughed. They don't quite know, maybe they're in the travel business and their whole world has come to a standstill. So we need to look at what the solutions are for each one of those typical types of clients. What are their priorities, do you think? What is the potential value we can bring? And then how do they see us? You know, is our relationship strength really, really palsy? We could just pick up the phone and we're like friends and we can just suggest things and we can invite them to things. Or are we order takers? You know, it's a bit like the McDonald's scenario where they give us a brief and we deliver. There's not much else. Or are we trusted advisors, people that they come to for advice? You know, like, what shall I do with my communication plan right now? How should I be dressing my customers? Can you help me with some campaigns? And then assigning the most appropriate person for the relationship. So when you're at an account manager or an account director level, one of the key things is you want to penetrate a client relationship. You want to have as many different relationships at the client organization as you can. But sometimes we're stuck having a peer-to-peer relationship with maybe a marketing manager, for example. So we need to play chess with the people we have in our agency and maybe make sure that our client services director or managing director or anyone more senior starts to have a relationship with someone more senior at the client side. So mapping that out strategically is something that would be really worth, you know, cementing our client relationship for. Because if you've got like a bow tie scenario where you're the risk in the middle, you're the only point of contact for the whole client relationship, then that's a risk to the agency. The risk that you're going to leave and take that client relationship with you, but also that we have this tenuous relationship with the client. We need to have as many different points as we can. Step 3 is assessing the potential value. So you can just think, right, what's the challenge? What is the impact on their business or on them personally? And then how could we possibly add value here? How could we help? How could we provide advice? Is it an idea we can bring? Is it a service we have? Is it a tool that we've developed? Can we educate them on this area? Is it a plan that we can help them formulate? Is it an insight into the market? Is it a competitor piece of information that they would find valuable? Is it an introduction to someone else in our network that could help? So there's all ways that you can help right now. So to give you an example of what that might look like, maybe we know that a client has a challenge, that their brand communications, they're worried about the tonality. They're worried about getting it wrong. The impact on them getting it wrong could be sales revenue, which is huge, customer loyalty. They could ultimately lose market share, or for themselves personally, they lose their bit of kudos, bit of reputation, and ultimately maybe a bonus. So how could we help? Well, maybe we could use our social listening tool to analyze what's happening in the market. What are the conversations being had? We could analyze the findings. We could provide our recommendations. We could create a business case for them doing a real overhaul of their messaging. So depending on what industry you're in, obviously this is quite PR related. So it depends ultimately how you can help. Step 4 is all about taking action. And this is about showing up, making contact, and not just by email, because you can't really develop a relationship by email. And this crisis doesn't really lend itself to, you know, how are things with you? Just a quick email. I mean, yeah, okay, it's all right, but people really want to hear your voice or see your face. How could we suggest ideas using a client story, which I'm going to give you an example of in a minute, and then at the end of our conversation with the client, set up the reason for the next contact with us. A couple of tools that I love using and might be useful for you if you haven't heard of them are Video Ask and Bonjoro. These get a lot of cut through. If you're having trouble getting hold of your clients particularly, you send a little video message, and the video message is embedded in an email. So it's like one step up from speaking on the phone or meeting in person, is sending them a little private video message. You know, hey, how's things? I've been thinking about you, wondering how you're doing, got some thoughts for you. Give us a call when you've got time. In my experience, this still gets a lot of traction with clients. Also on our phones now, we've got the LinkedIn voice app. So you can send a voice message through the through the platform. So that's another way of reaching our clients in absence of speaking on the phone or having a Zoom call. When we're in front of a client, obviously we want to be listening 70% of the time to find out what those challenges are and spotting opportunities for us to, help with those challenges, and asking really great questions 30% of the time. So what's your key objective right now? How is this impacting you? How's it affecting your business and also you personally? Thinking about the different ways that you can come up with, let's suppose we were able to help you with that area, as well as yourself, who else would need to be involved in the decision to go ahead with some kind of program around that? So really thinking about how we can purposely rehearse for those interactions and pre-decide what are the areas that we potentially could bring them value. And this client story format is a way of being less direct and less pushy and salesy. And the way you use it, and I'm just going to go straight into an example, is referring to other clients that you are helping. So, look, Mr. Client, some of our other clients have been asking us about how to stay ahead of competitors and about choosing the right tone with the brand communications. So we've been running a lot of audits for clients. We've been running workshops for clients to help the clients get it right. Would this be something useful for you as well? So why this is magical is because most of our clients want to know what you're doing with other clients. They're really curious. And it's another way of being less direct with something. So, you can say, look, many of our other clients have been asking us to come up with ideas for them, or many of our other clients have been interested in these webinars that we've been running recently on, how to communicate with your customers. So is that something you're also interested in? People tend to lean into that rather than lean away. If they say, well, yes, I am interested in this area, it sounds like that's really valuable. Before you get off the phone, you could make sure that you get the opportunity to have another touch point, which is to say, by the way, we've also put together a free webinar series. Education is huge right now for agencies. I'm going to show you some examples on tracking some of the biggest challenges faced by other clients. We're going to be covering everything from stakeholder communications to post-COVID planning. Would you like an invite? And this could be anything. You could educate your client on any area of what you do. And if they say yes, here's the magic bullet. You can say, would this be valuable for anyone else in your company or anyone else in your network, any peers that you'd like to invite along? And then that's your opportunity to get in front of more people, either within your client company or their peers. So it's like a referral process. Because let's face it, when we make a call to a client, it's kind of much better to go with some value. So what are the pieces of value that we can bring, rather than saying, hi, I just wanted to catch up. Your clients might be really busy at the moment and they might not spare the time. Also, your relationship might not be that strong. The reason this works is because of this book, really. You may be familiar with it, The Points of Influence by Robert Cialdini. And social proof is one of the principles of influence. So by saying all of our other clients are doing this, clients feel, I might be missing out. So they lean in and say, yes, I am interested. So I hope that's helpful for you. I want to share with you, just to kind of wrap up, coming to the end of it, is some examples of other agencies that have really harnessed this whole idea of education for clients. So this is an agency called Cayenne, and they've actually branded their educational series, and they teach a part of their process. So for example, they do problem framing. That's kind of a small part of what they do. So they've done a short webinar, 45 minutes, for business founders. Come along, we'll explain to you why problem framing is important, how you do it, and how this could be useful for your business. Now, ultimately, at the end of that taster webinar, clients are going to think, well, this is really interesting. I think I could really find this valuable, but I'm not going to run it in-house. These guys obviously are the experts. So it's an opportunity to position yourself as an expert. Another example is a design studio down in Winchester called Thursday. And they're running a series of webinars around the value of really good design. So if this is your area of speciality, you can prove it, show it, by educating the market. Made Brave is a brilliant creative agency in Scotland, and they've been running a series of educational events for clients. This is all about social listening, and they've cleverly used Made Brave have their brand values are inspire creativity in everyone. That's probably their brand proposition or brand values, but inspire creativity. So they're living their brand values by trying to inspire people to think creatively about their clients' and customers' business. You could also think about publishing a white paper. This is an agency called Cognitant, I think I said that right. They've done a white paper on the patient experience post-COVID. Building your partnership of your network of partnerships right now is the time to look at, okay, this is what we offer in our agency, these are the skills, but maybe we could partner with other agencies that offer complementary skills. So building your network of agencies that align with your values, but also could crucially provide the missing piece that you could provide to your client is a key activity for account managers, account directors. You could also do something quite fun. This is a Bolt Digital, the CEO, Natasha Courtney-Smith, who I think is phenomenal. Because she's been stuck at home with her kids, she's devised this idea of a business school for children. And she's invited other children to join her in this morning session where she's teaching them all about business thoughts. I'm not suggesting you do this yourself, but it just gives you the idea of how creative this can be. This kind of initiative, she's obviously, she's an agency leader. She's going to extend an invite to her clients' kids to join. This is a brilliant way to add value in quite an unexpected way. Another big agency is AKQA. They wanted to replicate how they feel in their design studio. So they've actually produced a staff-led radio station. So if you go to AKQA, you can stream live some fantastic music that they typically use in these really innovative design studios. And these are the guys that work with Nike. So you can imagine the quality of the music and also the vibe that you get. It's really, really great. And then McCann Synergy, for example, they specialize in internal communications. And again, they are highlighting their expertise by bringing in their behavioral strategists that work in the agency and showing how the government are making decisions based on nudge theory, which is a behavioral theory, and interpreting what the government's doing. Now that's brilliant PR for themselves, and they're positioning themselves as the expert, really cementing their position in front of clients, running like Twitter chats, and all of this stuff is done for their own clients, but also for prospective clients. And then step 5 really is to pull this all together. So once you've done that analysis, how can we make sure that we put this all into a plan? And here's a simple kind of grid that you can use in Excel. Client name, account, role, client type. What's your current status right now? Where are you at? What's the next action? Who's going to do it and by when? Keep a record of all those interactions. Some of you will have CRM systems like HubSpot, Streak, Monday. Some of you won't, but you could use like a rudimentary Excel spreadsheet. And a lot of account managers are telling me right now that they're getting a lot of pressure from other areas of the business. Share this plan with your senior management team and show them how proactive you're being. And this is a great way for everyone to be aligned with your client development strategy. And finally, I want to encourage you all to get onto LinkedIn and update your profile. Put some examples of your work on there. Fill out your profile on there, because this is the way all of our clients are online now. There's a higher kind of engagement on LinkedIn right now, and it's a great platform for you to promote yourself and your agency and all the great things you're doing. So I just want to wrap up and say thank you. I have produced a bit of a summary of some of the thoughts in this webinar. that I'm happy to share with Phil afterwards to pass on to you all. And also I do have my own training program, which is all about retention and growth of your clients, where we go a lot deeper into the strategies that I advocate to keep your clients for longer. And if anyone wants to contact me, there's my email address, jenny@accountmanagementskills.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Jenny Plant. So I just want to hand back to Phil and say thank you very much for your attention. I hope that has been valuable. And obviously, I'm really happy to take any questions right now.
Great, thanks, Jenny. That was really, really good. Have we got any questions that anybody wants answering? Let's see if we've got any.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
I've just got one. Sorry, I didn't put it in the chat. I've just thought about it. Thank you for that, Jenny. It was really helpful. I've got lots of notes. Is there anything at the moment that you recommend? I'm personally on furlough as of a couple of weeks ago, and I really want to use this time to get up to speed on all things marketing related, account management related, hence we've been here. Is there anything that I know there's a couple of things that you shared within the presentation. Is there anything that you recommend right now? You've got some stuff as well that's helpful to really use this time to educate yourself on things.
I think, Emma, the first thing I would do in your position is look at the webinar replay by Mark Ritson, who is the marketing professor and PhD. Now, at the end of his webinar, he promotes his MBA, which is the marketing MBA. Now, it's quite expensive. Your company might support you in investing in that. I think that would be a super use of your time, and it will kind of take you here because you want to be talking your client's language as much as possible. So that's probably what I would do. Obviously, my course is all about client relationship management. So there's kind of two things right there. I think if you could speak your client's language and know more than they do, and also if the idea is, think about all your clients right now in your agency. If they're the ones that are thriving right now, then you're going to be going back to work pretty quickly and soon. And how can you add value to those clients? Like, look at the insights, look at the market, look at the management consultant websites, and look at how your specific client industries are going to be changing and how your clients need to adapt to what's coming. Because if you're on the forefront of that, say, look, I've seen some trends, I've looked at your competitors, and this is what I see coming down the line for you, that's just taken you to here, level 4.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
There's a question in the chat box, Jenny, just with the proactive approach in delivering solutions to challenges, when do you talk money?
Okay, so yeah, great question. We are talking to the northern the northern contingent. That is so funny. You talk money always. I think your status is always elevated when you talk money. The thing is, let's talk about their business first, right? If you are going to make them money, then all the more reason to talk money. So is your solution going to directly increase their bottom line, save them cost, or eliminate cost? And that's where, if you can say hand on heart that absolutely is going to be the case, then yeah, that's the time to talk money. And one way of doing that is, once you've gone through your diagnosis phase, where you're asking those really great questions, at the end, if someone say, yeah, this is something I really need, when can you start? Say some qualifying questions. So as well as yourself, would there anyone else need to be involved in the decision to go ahead with this kind of initiative? What kind of budget would you, well, before you ask that, you could say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, this is super important and a priority for my business, and 1 being, this isn't really important. Where are we on that scale? And if they come back to you and say, well, if you can bring me this value, we're talking 10, this is really urgent. Then you say, what kind of budget would you have for this kind of initiative? And typically if they say, well, they might say, well, I'm not really sure, you tell me. You could say, well, are we talking, and give them bands. So are we talking up to 50 grand, 10, 20 to 50? Are we talking 50 to 100 or 100 plus? Always start your bottom option higher. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's helpful.
Thanks. Any other questions? Anybody else want to ask anything? No, I don't.
Yeah, someone said, I've heard amazing things about the Mark Ritson MBA, but I didn't realize he had a webinar too. Yeah, check that one out first, because it kind of gives you the groundwork. It kind of leaves you salivating at the end as to why you want to learn more from him.
There's another question there.
Mm-hmm.
So I currently work with clients that most have been furloughed. We have a strong relationship with this client, have picked up some of the projects that the furloughed people would usually run. How do you go about without stepping on their toes?
That's a really good one. So your clients have been furloughed, that you have a strong relationship, great, but you're picking up the projects that they would have worked on. So you're all, so does that mean, Amanda, that you feel like you're kind of taking over their job, and if their business sees that you're doing it anyway, that they're going to lose their job? Maybe, is that the feeling?
Yeah, so it's more or less along the lines of our clients, we kind of work with their marketing team, and the girls that do a lot of the marketing have been furloughed. So because we still work with like kind of the sales director and marketing director on their side, we're just kind of picking up little odds and ends and doing projects just to kind of tighten things up and, you know, keep things running. But obviously when the girls come back, our clients come back, we don't want them to feel as if we've stepped on their toes, taking over things that they would usually run. So we've kind of approached it in, we'll just do it, get it done, and then sell it in as an idea rather than we've actually gone and done it for you, and then let them have their say when they get back. Is that the best way to deal with that?
I think I think you're over worrying about it. I mean, as a business, your client has asked you to step up and fill a little bit of a hole while their marketing department's on furlough. That's kind of normal business practice. It's cheaper for them to bring back an employee than to continue paying you as an agency that level. So I don't think there's a direct competition there. If I can understand why you feel, you know, you don't want to step on these marketeers' toes because you've created a good relationship, but actually your hands are a bit tied. You know, as a business to business, you've been asked to deliver a service and you've done that. What I do think would be good for you, Amanda, would be to ask your furloughed clients that you have a super great relationship with, you know, maybe how can you add value to them, or keep in contact with them, or even ask if they have anyone else in their network that, because you as a business, your business is driven by word of mouth, and the more recommendations you can get, the better. So maybe they'd write a little testimonial for you. So that might sound a bit mercenary, but we have to have a sort of commercial business hat on as well.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, next question, Jenny. I've recently moved to an innovation role with Kellogg's.
Congratulations.
Insights and ideas as and when I find them to feel conversational and frequent. But my manager wants me to collate them and share in a very formal and structured way, monthly, quarterly. What do you recommend?
It sounds like a good suggestion, actually, to collate them. So do you like, it's T. Regan, so I don't know your first name, but is that something that you feel uncomfortable doing? Is there any resistance that you feel as to why you shouldn't do that? Just interested. Could you?
Hi, so it's Taylor.
Hello, Taylor. Hiya.
Thank you so much for taking us through that presentation as well, Jenny. It was fab.
Oh, good.
I don't really have any hesitation against it. I just find it quite an interesting thought process from my manager's point of view. From my perspective, I have a very conversational relationship with my manager at Kellogg's, and to keep it very formal and very structured goes against the grain of our relationship. But then I do see the pro of it feeling as though we've kind of got this, you know, great wealth of knowledge of insights that we've found, instead of it maybe feeling a little bit ad hoc. So just feel like there's pros and cons to both sides at the moment. I'm not sure. I was curious to see what your opinion was.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the nature of your relationship, I mean, is there a danger? Do you think that she's being a little bit, she wants to present it like you do all the legwork, you pull it all together, give it to her, and then she delivers it as if she's delivered it? Do you think there's any thought about that?
That's partly the situation, because a few of the ideas that I've found, I've been told, don't show that to Kellogg's, I want to save it for the QBR. So things like that have come up. I think that's part of the reason. So maybe I could find a bit of a middle ground, and some of the areas are ad hoc and some of them aren't.
Exactly, Taylor, because the thing is, great ideas are hard to come by. So you might get a flurry of ideas, but then nothing that's really relevant for a while. And maybe by saving them up and doing it more on a monthly consistent basis, just spreads it out a bit. I think saving them up for the QBR is a good point, actually, because let's put it this way, if because that's going to be on a quarterly basis, you want to bring a real idea that they hadn't thought of, so that will take time. And maybe that she's thinking, if you share with them too quickly a really brilliant idea, what are you going to do at the QBR? And we're probably charging them for the QBR, and quite highly. Well, we should be if we're not, and therefore we need to make them count. So actually, I would probably do a little bit of analysis of your ideas and maybe categorize the ideas. Are these the ones that we could just throw in, but these juicy ones we'll save for the QBR? Yeah,
no, that's really good advice. Thank you.
That's all right. It's a pleasure. Good luck with that, and great role.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, thank you.
That's all right. It's a pleasure.
Okay. Any more questions, guys, before we wrap up? Oh, there's one from Hannah there in the chat box. Specialise in travel and tourism. Would you have any other reasons?
Yeah, it is a tough one, right? I don't doubt that at all. I think there's a couple of things here. One, I think it's maintaining the relationship you have with your client, the personal relationship, because they're probably devastated on a personal basis. There's a lot of uncertainty. And during times of uncertainty and fear, you're kind of looking for those constants. So how could you add value in maybe another way with your personal relationship you have with that client? Maybe they want to upskill themselves. Maybe share the Mark Ritson webinar with them. If they're in the marketing department, look, saw this, and expand their minds, help them. For some travel and tourism, they are looking at next year. What does this mean for us as a business next year? So look for some trends that are relevant. Look on those management consultants' websites. Find some insight that's going to be for the travel and tourism and how that industry is having to evolve, and be the one that comes there first. And by bringing them these thoughts and maybe some thoughts to be optimistic about. So look towards China. China's coming out. If you believe the sources, they're potentially coming out. So what are they doing that we can learn from?
Interestingly as well, Jenny, you mentioned about taking something that a client doesn't have or doesn't know. I ran a session yesterday with a chief marketing officer, and he said exactly the same thing. He said he wants his agencies to bring him something he doesn't know, a piece of insight, a piece of research, an idea. But to every meeting, he was like, I just want them to bring something different.
Yeah, we forget, right, that they see us as at the cutting edge. They get very stuck as marketers with their own brand. They go deep into their brand, whereas we go wide with various industries, various other clients. So we're at the forefront. So yeah, you're absolutely right, spot on. And if we can just do that, and it's not hard, it really isn't hard.
Yeah. He also mentioned bringing a box of donuts as well to a meeting as well.
That should be level 5 value.
Yeah. So, okay, I think, shall we wrap up there?
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'll share everything with you all via email that Jenny's got to follow up. So I'll send that through later on today. Thanks everyone for coming. Sounds like you've all really enjoyed it. And thanks once again to Jenny for being here with us today. So I think everybody's really enjoyed it. So
yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to meet everyone. Thank you so much. Hope you got some value. Thank you, Phil, for the invite.
Thank you, Jenny.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.